Tatis's footsteps were slow and quiet, his arm cocked in a position to strike. As he moved closer and closer, he got more excited. His steps were now quick. He was rushing. His feet were crunching the leaves, making enough noise to alert Nomir. Nomir turned around. Tatis raised the knife above his head, ready to strike. Nomir ducked out the way, but stumbled to the ground, his head next to the fire. Before he can yell for assistance, Tatis placed his hand on Nomir's throat, with the other ready to stab once again. Nomir placed one hand on the wrist that was holding the knife, and the other that was squeezing his neck. They were deadlocked. Nomir let go of the hand on his throat and placed it on Tatis's hand that was holding the knife. Now that there wasn't any resistance for the hand on his throat, Nomir began to slowly lose consciousness. However, he had more grip on Tati's wrist. He used his two hands to move Tatis's into the fire. Tatis let out a scream. He let go of Nomir and turned his attention to his burnt hand. Fellow soldiers arrived at the scene.
He struck me, traitor! He tried to kill me!
I did not. Tatis attacked me.
Despite Nomir's innocence, he knew the soldiers didn't believe him. Tatis was seriously injured, and it was his screams that alerted the guards.
Nomir, surrender yourself.
Nomir immediately turned away from the men and ran into the darkness of the woods. The soldiers chased after him.
We should be getting closer.
Yeah, hopefully.
Polo, Helena, Serana, and Marcus were exiting the mountains and entering the hills.
Polo, are you sure you want to separate once we arrive in Benjin?
I don't want to, but it's what you all agreed to do, and I respect that.
We don't want to either. So just tell us your background, and we can move on.
Polo looked at Serana. Her eyes were telling Polo to just make up a story. Any story. Polo looked at Serana. Her eyes were telling Polo to just make up a story. Any story.
We're almost at Benjin.
The truth is that we do need your skills. Your archery can't be taught.
We're out of the mountains. There's a lot less animals to hunt from here on out.
Which is why it's necessary that you're here. The less animals means we have to make the most of our opportunities. We can't do that without you, Polo.
To be fair, none of you have really gone into great depth about your lives. Your background, why you're here, what you plan on doing.
We told you. We left our home to get away from our parents.
You couldn't have gone to another place in the village, or the neighboring villages. You had to travel through these mountains. There's as much flaw in your story as there is in mine.
At least we have a story. You're too ashamed to even bring one up.
Your story doesn't matter to me. Your story won't change my situation. You helped me, and that's all that matters. I have not betrayed any of you since we met.
You haven't betrayed us yet, but you haven't risked yourself for us.
I saved you from the wolf bear. You were being used as a human shield.
You put me in that situation. You have yet to explain why soldiers are hunting you down. Is there even a rule that says no peasants are allowed on these mountains? Or did you just make that up to help us hide you?
You all have been telling me about my story, and I could have easily made one up, and we would be on our way. But I can't bring myself to lie to you. So I say nothing instead. If I wouldn't lie about that, then why all of a sudden I would lie about the mountains not being for peasants?
I got an idea. Why don't we split up from here?
No, Helena, you're being crazy.
He can't be trusted. We can't separate in the hills, but once we hit the flatlands, we'll find another way to Benjin.
The sun was rising over the Gendlian kingdom.
How much men are we sending?
At least 1,000.
Maybe we should send them in waves. Start with a few hundred, then a few hundred more, then 1,000, and then several thousand. Overwhelm them. Give them a false sense.
We still don't know if there is war yet.
Nomir told us that if a messenger isn't sent by the rising sun, then send the army. Nomir isn't one to forget.
I know. But we can still send an army without leading an attack. I mean, food is still being sent here through the creek.
No, we lead with an attack. Forget about messengers, treaties, and whatnot. Let's not forget the prophecies. There is a famine coming. That mountains must be ours regardless.
You're also forgetting the boy.
Why is he important?
He's in the prophecy too, isn't he?
It was only meant in metaphor.
That boy is a peasant. I doubt he knew about it. Only the kingdoms know about it. And somehow that boy, without knowledge of the prophecy, sees the god of death himself.
You think the boy is prophesied to be the death of us all?
I believe the oracles, don't you?
Not now. Forget about the boy. Send the army in the mountains. Whatever strategy you use is up to you. Take enough to keep the villagers from being angry. With the army in the mountains, there is going to be less men to guard the kingdom.
He tried to attack you?
Yes! He put my hand in the fire once I was getting the better of him.
General Weiler was questioning an injured Tatis.
Why would he attack you?
I heard him talking to a Benjin soldier about giving away our weak points and how much men we have currently. I think they might be planning an attack.
Nomir was working with the Benjin soldiers against us?
Yes, that traitor. Don't worry, our men are going to catch him.
Weiler stared at Tatis. His face neither shocked nor angry, but almost curious.
When you confronted him, did he say anything to you?
He said something about hoping all Gendlians burn. It makes sense now why he decided to do a peace deal with that Benjin Rorin. It was for us to have our guard down.
I made that peace deal.
Yeah, of course. But I'm sure that's why Nomir thought it was a good time to betray us.
Well, when the men catch Nomir, I guess we'll get his side of the story.
Nomir was sprinting through the darkness. He could only see what's ahead of him when it was a couple inches from his face. All he can focus on was moving his feet and the noise of the men following him close behind. Arrows sailed by his head, spears near his feet. He kept sprinting, and then he stopped, nearly falling off a cliff that was inches from his toes. He pulled out his sword. He was going to fight his brothers, but he couldn't bring himself to it.
I'm over here.
The Gendlian soldiers muscled their way through the thick wooded area and stood in front of Nomir, drawing their arrows and spears.
He's severely injured because of you.
Why would I want to kill him?
It's like what he said. You're working for the Benjins.
What? Listen to yourself.
You didn't want us to attack the Benjin army. You didn't want to go after the boy. You disobeyed our king's orders every way you can. It only makes sense.
All of those were for the best of the Gendlian kingdom. Just arrest me and take me back as a prisoner. I'll plead my case to Weiler.
You won't see him, Nomir. We all talked with Tatis before the dawn about how you and Weiler are conspiring with the enemy.
Tatis is a liar. His desires are misguided. It will lead to destruction for everyone.
Well, you won't be there to see it.
The Gendlian shot an arrow through Nomir's chest. The force of the arrow was enough to knock Nomir backwards off the cliff into the abyss that awaits him. Mosan was watching the villagers still protesting outside the palace.
Lot less than there was before.
I know, but still too many.
It's progress.
I sent baskets of food last time. I assured them it's coming again. I don't know why they're still upset.
They're hungry. Once the food comes, they'll be too full to protest.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course, my king.
Have you ever had contact with the gods or any creatures from the other worlds?
No, of course not, my king. The last time anyone has seen the gods was since the great battle of Elaru.
If the gods have entered our world, I wonder if it's possible to enter theirs.
Those places are just fantasy for us mortal men. The closest man has been to those worlds are the oracles. Then again, they are most likely not of mankind, but descendants of the higher realms.
If I was contacted by a god, let's say the demon god himself, the same one the boy claimed, what would you think of that?
That's an interesting question. You are a king? Maybe he wants what you have.
He's a god, the god of death and ruler of the underworld. His last battle was against the great god of life himself. What would he want with me?
My king, you're acting as if the god of death did contact you.
You're right. I'm being foolish.
If you're being foolish for wondering why the god of death would contact you, a king, imagine how foolish it is for him to contact a peasant boy. That should be enough to know his foolishness. You need not to worry about events that won't happen, my king. The underworld god himself is deep beneath us, never to return.
General Weiler was in his tent. He didn't have much to do. Now that he reached a peace treaty with the Benjins, his only job was to make sure that the Benjin army upholds their end while he does the same. It was good for Weiler that he didn't have a lot on his plate. It gave him time to think about Nomir. He knew Nomir wouldn't attack a fellow soldier, even if it is such a person like Tatis. But he never think Tatis would be one to injure himself just to frame Nomir. His thoughts were disrupted by a noise, a rumbling sound. The army arrived, soldiers chanting and cheering, encouraging themselves and their fellow comrade to die for the king, the kingdoms, and the chance for the other kingdoms to fall. Weiler got out of his tent and confronted the men.
What is this?
The king ordered us to attack.
Nonsense. I sent a messenger. He should have arrived before the dawn.
No messenger was sent. Now the king give us orders to attack the Benjin soldiers and seize the entire mountain.
Weiler looked at the men and noticed Tatis's loyal followers in the midst of the army.
What are you doing with them?
They are a part of the army.
They were here earlier with Tatis in these mountains. They were here when we did the deal with the Benjin kingdoms. How did you find yourself riding with the rest of the army to a place where you already were before?
No time for these accusations. The king ordered an attack, and that's what we'll do with or without you, Weiler. Now, where is the Benjin camp?
Why don't you ask them? They should know.
Answer me now, Weiler, or you are disobeying a king's order.
Weiler reluctantly told them the direction to the camp. He was angry, but he knew he couldn't let it get the best of him. Perhaps, if the Benjins were prepared, it would cause another stalemate. He had to warn Rorin of the attack. Weiler went to find his horse. As he was about to climb on, he was knocked to the ground from behind. Before he could react, a blade appeared on his neck. Weiler saw the burnt hand that was holding the blade to his throat. It was Tatis.
Hello, General.
The river was cold. Straight from the glaciers, from the mountain peaks. The waves were roaring angrily downstream, making it almost impossible for Nomir to grab a hold of anything to prevent himself from being taken away. The force of the river was too strong for him to resist. He stopped fighting and braced himself for whatever the river had prepared for him. Suddenly he crashed into a fallen tree in the river. He pulled onto the branches to hoist himself on top of the broken tree and crawled his way onto the solid ground. The arrow that he was struck with was still attached to him, but only on his armor, just scratching the surface of his skin. Nomir broke the arrow off and laid on a nearby rock. As he was resting, a mysterious group of people gathered around him. Nomir's vision was blurry. He was floating in and out of consciousness, and couldn't see the faces staring down at him, or if they were even real. Nomir closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep.
That's not how you cook, Rabbit.
I know how to cook.
Whoever taught you to cook doesn't know anything because you can't eat ash.
It tastes better burnt.
Stop it! Enough of the ruckus.
General Rorin and his Benjin soldiers were sitting around a fire in their campsite.
As long as the king wants.
How long would that be?
I don't know. We were ordered to take a part of the mountain where the vegetation is most bountiful, which is what we're doing.
That could take forever.
Yes, it could. It probably will. That's what being a soldier is. You make sacrifice in other ways than death. What makes a good soldier isn't your willingness to kill the enemy. It's your willingness to take orders. If the king orders you to isolate yourself for the rest of your life, you do it. If he orders you to kill a child, you do it, no matter what consequences that brings later on. We sacrifice ourselves.
We should be called sacrificers rather than soldiers.
What is it?
General, the Gendlians are attacking.
Rorin and his fellow Benjans got to their feet and rushed into position. Most of the camp was already sacked, tents and infrastructure burning as Benjin men were being slaughtered. The Gendlians were now rushing towards Rorin's direction, led by soldiers on horseback galloping at full speed.
Archers, get ready.
Sir, there are no archers here. They're all in the flames.
So what do we do?
Run off! Hurry back to Benjin and tell the king what has happened and get him to send the rest of the reinforcements, quickly, before they catch you.
The messengers got onto their horses and left the burning camp. Rorin turned and faced the soldiers charging him on horseback. He put on his helmet, pulled out his sword out of his holster, and let out a war cry as he charged towards the cavalry. Mosan was standing outside on his balcony, staring into the mountains, wondering what's been taking place. He wished he could take form of a bird and keep an eye on what his soldiers are doing. He would trade places with a bird just so he can fly away and find something else. He was lacking something in his life, but he didn't know what. He was king. The most powerful man in the kingdom can have whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. But he wasn't satisfied. Maybe it wasn't enough. Maybe Mosan needed more. Maybe he should be king of Benjin as well as Gendlian, or maybe several other of the surrounding kingdoms. Maybe even Barthion, and become ruler of Elaru itself. Become the god amongst the humans. The more Mosan thought more of these desires, the better he felt. He now knows what he's lacking. Mosan lay down on his bed and gracefully fell asleep. Polo, Helena, Serana and Marcus were now entering the flatlands. Polo looked behind him and saw the mountains that he was now exiting. It was beautiful.
Wow, look at that.
It was silent.
You all should look at those mountains. It's really lovely.
The siblings kept walking, no one speaking a word, all clearly upset about the argument they all just had.
Okay, I know you're all upset at me, but while we're here, we still need to help each other. And if we're going to help each other, we need to communicate.
There's nothing to talk about.
We're entering the flatlands. We can't hide from predators out here. There are no vegetation or drinking water. This is going to be our most dangerous point in our journey to Benjin.
Well, if we wouldn't have taken the normal route, it wouldn't be so dangerous.
Okay, fine. If you three want to go that route, you can. I'm not going to stop you. I do think it's not a good idea, however.
Okay, fine. We will.
I know you don't like me right now, but your annoyance with me shouldn't override the dangers of your decisions.
Helena, Serana and Marcus began walking down a different pathway, leaving Polo alone. Wyler was sitting in a cage, a Gendlian cage for enemy prisoners of war, and now Wyler, the trusted general of the Gendlian kingdom, is locked and chained in the very cage he used to lock prisoners in. He heard footsteps coming towards his direction, but couldn't care less. He was too weak and injured from the beatings that he didn't even bother to look at who it was. The cage door open. It was Rorin, broken and beaten just like Wyler, except much worse. The Gendlian soldiers threw him to the ground and chained him to the iron bars inside. As the Gendlian soldiers exited and locked the cage, another man was walking up to it. It was Tatis.
This is a fitting scene. The enemy of our kingdom and the traitor of our kingdom.
We weren't the enemy, Tatis. We were doing what's best for both of our kingdoms.
You don't know what's best. And if you did, you proved that you didn't care for it.
We saved lives. We prevented a war.
Not anymore. As you can see from your friend here, we sacked the Benjen camp, and we are not done with killing Benjans.
Did King Mosan order that?
I ordered that. You were too weak, just like Nomir, which is why he's dead and you're my prisoner. This army needed a new man in charge. I'm going to bring out the full potential of what this army can do, something you never did. I suggest you get used to these bars. Weiler, you're going to be here for a while.
We're already making better progress in this direction. We should have stayed on this path the whole time. I don't know why we listened to Polo. Why do we assume that he knows everything?
Why don't you relax?
What? He was dragging us behind.
Stop acting like he didn't help us. What are you jealous of him? It was never like you were the leader of the group before he arrived.
Helen, I have to agree with Serana. You had nothing but contempt for Polo since we met him.
And I was right for it. We all agreed to go our separate ways. We can't trust anyone who isn't us.
It's not like we're not keeping secrets either. Also, if what was told to us is true, then we have to start trusting people eventually.
Do you actually believe that? And even if it is true, it wouldn't be him or anybody from this area.
Then why are you here, if you don't believe it?
I'm following you two. Am I just supposed to be alone for the rest of my life?
Well, stop complaining or you might be Helena.
The three turned their attention away from each other and towards the horns. They were overlooking a bank. In the near distance, the Benjen army was marching in their direction.
Quick, hide.
The three ducked their heads as the army marched by.
Where are they going?
They must be going to war. That looks like a full army.
As Marcus, Helena and Serana were hiding near the bank. Helena panicked. She got to her feet and began sprinting away into the woods. Marcus wanted to scream at her, but he didn't want to bring more attention to him or Serana. Two of the soldiers saw her movement. They broke away from the army and walked towards Helena's location. Marcus and Serana remained in hiding as the soldiers walked past them.
Should we attack them?
No, we're too close to the army.
Marcus and Serana waited until the soldiers were entered the woods. They slowly got to their feet and quietly followed the soldiers into the wooded area. The woods were thick, just like up in the mountains. Marcus and Serana were beginning to lose track of them. They heard screaming. It was Helena's. They started sprinting. The soldiers had their swords pointed at Helena, as her back was on the ground. Helena couldn't speak. She felt paralyzed.
Who are you? It doesn't matter, sweetheart. Let's take her with us. Make her useful for the rest of the lads.
The soldiers bent down to grab her. Marcus and Serana attacked the soldiers from behind. It was enough to turn their attention away from Helena, but not enough to disarm the Benjen men. Marcus was beaten as Serana was smacked to the ground.
It looks like we got another woman. No use for this lad, though.
The Benjen hoisted his sword above his head to strike Marcus down, but an arrow pierced his neck, killing him instantly. Before the other could react, another arrow struck his chest, knocking him to the ground. Through the chaos, Polo arrived with his bow and arrows.
Are you okay?
We're fine. Thanks. Thank you, Polo.
How did you find us?
I followed you. I can't make it through the wild on my own.
The siblings fell silent.
It's true. It is you.
What?
You are the one. Do you believe it now, Helena?
What are you talking about?
Polo, when you met us, we told you that we left because of our family. We didn't. It was a lie. We were told by someone that the god of life needed us. By this odd woman. This woman, she was an...
Oracle.
Yes. She told us that we had to leave. that the God of life needed us to guide someone on his journey, someone very important, someone who can change the fate of Eleru. We doubted it at first, but it is clear to us now that person is you.
King Mosan sat in his chambers.
What is it?
My king, the army have taken the mountain and is anticipating a counterattack from the Benjins.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Nomir was killed from the Benjins, and General Veiler was a spy for the Benjin army. He is captured along with his co-partner, General Rorin.
Good. Is that all?
Yes, my king.
Good. Leave me be.
Mosan got to his feet. He stared at the map of Eleru, analyzing every kingdom, village, border, river, and mountain. It looked different. He had this map in his chambers since he was king, but it didn't look right. The map, it was changing into the face he saw in the fire. It was dark. The red eyes, the black mist, the power seeped through the map, confronting the king.
Mosan. Yes?
Listen to me.